we've gone beyond the point of chasing down al-qaeda and trying to win an insurgency, a counterinsurgency in Afghanistan, and we really need to focus on helping that nation stand up on its own.
Matthew Griffin and Donald Lee both served as part of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, deployed to Afghanistan multiple times in the years immediately after the September 11th attacks.
I realized that my oldest son is 3 years away from fighting the same war that I fought. 3 years. That's kind of nuts.
Our troops will fight to win.
President Trump, the third president to tweak South Asia's strategy, the new plan will add additional troops and depend on conditions on the ground without a clear timeline.
It's a double-edged sword because you can't communicate those conditions to the media or the American public because the enemy will fight against those conditions. So we're essentially going blindly into this fight for another presidential term with thousands of more soldiers without really knowing what a win looks like.
That's the hardest thing for me to understand. What is a win?
For these two Army Ranger veterans, a win in their mind involves emphasis on diplomacy and economic opportunity.
The strongest weapon we can use to positively change that nation with all of American citizens and service members is our economy. If we just simply help them be competitive on a global market, it would help out significantly at a very human level.
Griffin and Lee have launched their own effort to try and help, turning an old defense factory in Kabul into a new venture called Combat Flip-Flops.
There's not a digital machine that touches this. This is all hand-drawn and hand-sewn on this fabric. It takes about 10 hours to make, and each one that we sell puts an Afghan girl in school.
Manufacturing scarves, clothing, and hope for Afghan families, women, and children.
We mentioned an honorable and sustainable exit from Afghanistan, and creating a long-lasting business approach to Afghanistan is the way to do it.
As for their message to the additional active duty troops soon headed to fight in America's longest-running war,
be safe. That's the biggest one. Be safe.
And the top U.S. commander for the Middle East told reporters this week that the additional deployments could be happening within days, potentially. Now, I talked to these former Army Rangers in great detail about the new strategy and situation on the ground in Afghanistan. You just heard clips, but we're putting extended interview online, king5.com, and it's definitely worth watching. We'll have more from our interview at 6:30.
Wow.
Thanks, Natalie. And we want to learn more about the Afghan flip-flops.
We will link it.
All right, thanks.